Hey, my name is Morgan Tuck. Today I'm talking about volunteers in children's ministry. So my dad's been a children's pastor for over 25 years, and I've been involved in his ministry for all of my life. He always says that in children's ministry, volunteers are the problem and the solution. Volunteers can be hard to recruit, but once the Lord leads the right ones to you, they can make a world of a difference in children's lives. The three major problems with volunteers in children's ministry are finding volunteers, training volunteers, and keeping volunteers. So with this, finding volunteers, it's hard to find enough that you need for your ministry. It can be quite a challenge, especially with children's ministry. Serving in the church is a call from the Lord, but many people don't quite understand this, or they're not at least seeking a place to serve. And lots of people want to be asked personally, but you can't. I mean, it's quite complicated, especially with a larger church. You can't ask everyone personally. It's really hard to do that. So there's a variety of ways to let your church know that you're looking for volunteers. You can make an announcement. You can put it in the bulletin. Word of mouth works really well, especially if you're telling your current volunteers, because they may know someone who would like to serve with them. Also, anything visual, like a sign or a flyer or anything of that sort, could help let your church know that you're looking for volunteers. So one thing we need to ensure that they know why that they're needed to serve in children's ministry. We're there to impact the next generations, which ultimately will impact the world through the people you're impacting in children's ministry. We need to be there to teach the children about their sin and that they have a need for a savior. Ages 4 to 14 is when statistics say you're most open to the gospel, when you're 4 to 14, and that's right in children's ministry age. Your moral foundation, according to psychology and studies, your moral foundation is made by age 9, which is really early, and that's in the middle of children's ministry as well. Statistics say that 2 out of 3 come to Christ before age 13. There's a lot of benefits to serving in children's ministry that we need to let them know about too. For one, it builds relationships, not only with teachers and kids, but also with teachers and parents, and even parents and kids, especially if they're serving in the ministry that their child is in. As well, it builds memories. 8 out of 10 remember going to church as a child. The key with finding volunteers is to tell them the truth about why you need them and everything. We don't need to undersell the job of serving in children's ministry because it's not easy. Preparation and time is necessary. We need to make sure that they know that they're needed to make a difference. They're not just, fillers. They're needed to make a difference. And there's lots of benefits and blessings to this that we should inform them of. The second biggest problem with volunteers in children's ministry is training. Training volunteers can be a problem if not accomplished or if not accomplished correctly. My dad says, if you teach a teacher how to teach, it goes a long way. That's a simple way of saying we need to equip them to be able to do what we're asking them to do. He says it's important to know that prepared volunteers are the best volunteers, and we need to teach them they don't know how to prepare for something that they've never done before. Giving them a clear direction of ministry will give them a clear focus of why they're there and doing what they're doing. There's a number of different approaches to training volunteers. It could be events, workshops, newsletters, could even be books or just observation of seeing someone else teach. The key here is to equip them. We need to make sure that they have everything they need to do what they're asking them to do. We need to try not to overwhelm them, and we need to try to ensure that they are comfortable in their roles. Any question that they might possibly have, we need to make sure to answer it. The final problem is keeping volunteers. Keeping volunteers can be very hard. The key here is shepherding. We need to shepherd the various volunteers that are in our ministry. There's a book called 7 Desires for Every Heart by Mark and Deborah Lacer, and it talks about everything that a heart desires, but it really goes along really well with volunteers and what they're looking for and what will benefit them. So volunteers look to be heard and understood. This could be listening to anything they have to say, and it also is keeping eye contact. It's anything of that nature, keeping eye contact and listening to whatever they have to say. Volunteers look to be affirmed, to be appreciated or valued. We need to look for ways to show this. We need to look for opportunities for compliments and encouragement in what they're doing with volunteering. Examples from my home church that my dad does is he gives out birthday cards. He sends out birthday cards to all volunteers. He just signs a little note to them, thanks for serving, happy birthday. He just does that. We also have coffee and refreshments for specifically children's ministry volunteers. That's in, like, everyone there knows where to go, where it is, and it's there for them on Sundays. We also have dinner together at the end of the year for a celebration to look back over what we just did and to look over the year and reminisce together. So it's a big celebration. And let's see, volunteers look to be blessed. We looked beyond what they're doing to who they are. And we need to show them that we genuinely care about them. And we need to pray for them and find out how they are. We need to look beyond what they're doing for us and look to who they are as volunteers. And volunteers look to be safe. They look to be free from worry or anxiety. And we need to be there for them and not abandon them if, last minute we need their help. We need to be there for them if they need us. Volunteers look to be touched, which this just means to be personal with them. Volunteers look to be chosen. Do you remember what it's like to be picked last? Some people are good for different areas of children's ministry, and they may not occur to you first. For example, some people are more comfortable with small groups, and some people are more comfortable with large group teaching. But not everyone's ready for teaching. Some people, for example, at my home church, work with crafts every Sunday. They don't feel comfortable teaching, but they're still involved in the ministry and they still help with crafts or anything that they're good at. We need to find out where people are gifted and put them there. Volunteers look to be included. Everyone has a place. We should never, ever, ever turn away a volunteer. We need to let everyone know that we're all in this together to impact the next generations. And we need to make sure that they know this and that they're motivated by this. Other things to think about with this is we can never say thank you enough. We should never ever take volunteers for granted. And also, especially if you have volunteers that have been with you for a long time, we need to challenge them and make sure that they don't get stuck in a rut or doing the same thing every Sunday. We need to challenge them. It will keep them motivated as well. Another thing, we need to make sure that we're fully equipping volunteers to do what we're asking them to do. Again, that's very important. In conclusion, the three main problems with volunteers in children's ministry are finding volunteers, training volunteers, and keeping volunteers. And there's a variety of ways to do this, to solve these various problems, but the major things to remember and accomplish are to share the truth about volunteering in children's ministry, to equip volunteers to the best of our ability, and finally to shepherd the volunteers that are in your ministry.